ex-Emeritus Scientist RCB and former Emeritus Professor, Honorary ACSIR, Honorary Professor at the Amity Institute of Environmental Toxicology, Safety and Management, Amity University. Earlier, he served as Head, Chemistry Department and Dean Academics, St. Stephen's College and taught for 44 years. He served as Principal, Deshbandhu College for 2 years and as a member of many national committees, including the Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. He also served as Council Member, Chemical Research Society of India for 3 years, Principal Investigator, CSIR, OSDD, Chemistry Center, St. Stephen's College. He did his PhD from St. Stephen's College in 1973 and postdoc at Max Planck Institute for Biochemistry, Munich. Universities of Heidelberg and Karlsruhe Technical University, Delft, Netherlands, University of Göttingen, Germany, Ohio State University, Columbus, and Brown University, USA. He received Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Lifetime Achievement Award of the Society of Biomedical Laboratory Scientists, India in 2016. He was awarded India National Science Academy Teacher Award in 2013. He was nominated by Sri Venkateshwar College for a lifetime dedicated to undergraduate teaching as Teacher of Eminence 2013. He was also presented CRSI Best Teacher Award 2007, University of Delhi, Distinguished Teacher Award 2009, and DARD UGC Fellow from 1976 to 77. He was awarded Atomic Energy Commission Postgraduate Scholarship from 1967 to 68. He was listed in IBC Outstanding Scientist Worldwide and nominated as International Scientist of the Year in 2007. He was included in Marquis Who's Who in the World 2010 and 1999 edition of International Directory of Distinguished Leadership, published by the American Biographical Institute. He was appointed as Local Commissioner, Technical Expert, witnessed by the Punjab, Haryana, Delhi and Bombay High Courts in several national and international patent cases. He has published more than 70 papers, granted many patents and supervised 7 PhDs. He also published Grandpa's Noble Tales, a collection of tales and anecdotes about scientists. A collection of scientific essays by Dr. Ishwaran is to be published by Vigyan Parasar, Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. It is my pleasure to invite Dr. Ishwaran to deliver the popular talk for this evening entitled Cataractogenesis and Theranostics. Please, sir.
Good morning to one and all, to Dr. Shrindini, the Dean of THSTI, the faculty members of THSTI, my colleagues and their young friends and especially colleagues from other colleges who are present here this morning. In the next shade less than an hour, I will present to you some thoughts of mine. I'm not here to cover a syllabus in the strict sense of the term, so we can deviate from the title if you wish from time to time, or certainly I await your queries as I finish my theme. I hope you can hear me with the common mic. Can you all hear me properly?
Yes, sir.
Fair enough. Are you ready to chant and recite with me some things before we begin my formal talk? Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
To energize each one of us. Enmeshed. Enmeshed. I want you to repeat it loudly. Enmeshed. I don't think it's loud enough. Young people are much louder. Enmeshed.
Enmeshed.
In observation.
In observation.
Enmeshed in observation.
Enmeshed in observation.
One remains
One remains
a scientist.
a scientist.
Quotations are not supposed to be altered, but give me the liberty to change it mildly, marginally. Enmeshed
Enmeshed
in observation.
in observation.
One remains
One remains
a mere scientist.
a mere scientist.
यदि हम हम ऑब्जर्वेशन में जो देखी हुई चीजें जो नजर आती हैं उसमें जकड़े रहे तो हम निरा वैज्ञानिक रह जाते हैं. Enmeshed in observation, one remains a mere scientist, established, slightly altered, firmly established in subjective experience. The scientist gets transformed into a sage. जब हम सिर्फ निरी देखी चीजों से हटके अपने अनुभव पे हम चीजों को समझने की कोशिश करते हैं तो हम निरा वैज्ञानिक नहीं, वो वैज्ञानिक एक ऋषि में परिवर्तित हो जाता है. Don't misunderstand that the rishi is one who has got a flowing hair and a beard and so on. That's not the intention. A student came to me, and one of us in the audience knows that I love this. A student came to me from somewhere in India in a postgraduate course in Delhi University and said, "Sir, एक एक्सपेरिमेंट को चेक करने के लिए 8 बारी बुलाते हैं और लाल स्याही से उसको करेक्शंस करते हैं। सर हमारे वहाँ तो यदि हम टीचर्स के पास जाएं तो चाय पीते वो बैठे वो स्टाफ रूम में मिलते हैं, सर आपकी क्लास घर में आ जाना 4 बजे 20,000 रुपए, the going rate." He taught me something. I want you to repeat with me. Rabbi Zidni Ilma. समझ नहीं आया ना? फारसी में है, पर्शियन में है, कैसे समझ आएगा? रब्बी ज़िदनी इल्मा. ए खुदा कुरान से है, होली कुरान से है. ए खुदा मेरे इल्म में इजाफा कर. कहता सर थोड़ा सा गलत है, ठीक कर दो. We are not supposed to tamper with what we get from the scriptures. ऐ खुदा मेरे इल्म में और इजाफा. You are so greedy for knowledge. Translates. Oh God, give me knowledge. Anything special? I think it looks very ordinary, very acceptable in an academic place where we are trying to learn from each other. And sometimes, as Otto Hahn said, the German Nobel laureate, one learns from one's students more than from any experiments or any books. So I'm open for this interactive learning process in the next 3/4 of an hour. जवानो जवान है या जवानो उड़ो और उड़ना सीखो पर दोनों बाहों जमीन पर. ये क्या उड़ना हुआ है? Translated, fanciful imagination rooted in reality. Okay, there we are. I have for an excuse 2 words connected. Don't look for a connection between the 2 words. The first one is cataract or Genesis. The second word is theranostis. The second word may be a little new to many in the audience, but the seniors and the elders in the front rows possibly would be familiar with the second word. And I'm not in a hurry to explain the second word for the moment because that's the second part of my talk. नवरात्रि का टाइम है ना, बहुत लोग फास्ट में होंगे शायद. ये पूरी फैमिली हमारे घर में आई कॉलेज में नवरात्रि की पूजा के लिए. सबसे छोटी बच्ची ग्रैंडमदर 14 की बच्ची कहती है अंकल मैं क्या कुछ साइंस दिखाइए. अब यार मैं लेबोरेटरी में साइंटिस्ट हूँ, साइंस दिखा सकता हूँ. हमारे राघवेंद्र गदाधर साहब कहते हैं इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ साइंस बैंगलोर से, I am not a Galileo or I am not a Newton. I can't be a Galileo or a Newton because I am a scientist. When the class 4 employee, our good friends, open the camera for electron microscope. जब वो ताला लगाते हैं तो I am no longer a scientist. No apple can fall on my head. सुनिए भैया, कहती है मैं कहा क्या देखोगी? अंकल सर ऑक्सीजन दिखाइए. अबे मैं तो अंडा दिखा सकता हूँ, प्याज दिखा सकता हूँ, ऑक्सीजन को कहाँ से दिखाऊं? हमारे पीयूष हैं यहाँ? पीयूष दिखाएंगे? भाई ऑक्सीजन देखिए, मैंने भी देखा, तो देखिए दिखाई कि हम आपको मदद करेंगे। पीयूष अभी ऑक्सीजन दिखाएंगे। एक्चुअली ये एक वेबसाइट है www.
around the structure, and these unpaired electrons give rise to colour, and that colour is blue. So the neutron is around the structure, and these unpaired electrons give rise to colour, and that colour is blue. So
Lights down. चला दीजिए, इसमें कोई बात नहीं। पीयूष, ये उस वेबसाइट से ही लिया गया है। नोबेल लॉरेट W. Croto ने बनवाया था यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ ससेक्स से। Every single element in the periodic table, there is a video to watch. Beautifully edited, so educated.
blue is often perceived to be the colour of solvated or unpaired electrons, and you can see here the lovely blue colour. Now, lots of chemists are really scared when they see the blue of liquid oxygen, because liquid oxygen is very, very reactive. Generally, you only make liquid oxygen by mistake, not like today when we're making some on purpose. And if you've made it by mistake in an uncontrolled way, where there might be organic molecules, perhaps simple organic chemicals like hydrocarbons, grease, or perhaps a highly elaborate compound, and they tend to detonate, and they tend to cause very energetic experiments. So, it's really fluffy, it's not very reactive, doesn't really burn. Cinders, much smaller. There we go. We're going to pop it in the tray.
So we begin with Neil's very high-tech piece of equipment, which is a test tube on a piece of string. What we're going to do is to put some liquid nitrogen in here. You can see liquid nitrogen, well you may not see, is colourless. Okay? So this is liquid nitrogen, and what I hope you can see is that this magnet, which is a pretty good magnet, let me just show you here with my keys, that they stick pretty strongly to the magnet. The magnet has absolutely no effect at all on the liquid nitrogen. I can pull the magnet and nothing happens.
And then we're going to fill up all of the void space, all of the space between the cotton particles with oxygen. So you might want to stand back after this bit, Brady. So here we go, there's our liquid oxygen. Do you want to come in and zoom in on? See me? Okay, so here you can see the lovely blue liquid oxygen colour going into the cotton wool particles.
Let's try the same thing with liquid oxygen. So, careful of my shoes.
So here we have a match on a stick, and I think you can see it's probably a light. So we have our fire, we have our oxygen, and we have our fuel. Now let's see what happens when we put them all together.
The liquid oxygen. It's a very nice blue colour today. So now let's try. Here's the magnet again, and if I take the liquid oxygen, you can see I can pull it right up here, because it's not as magnetic as my keys, but you can see there's a really big difference. It sticks to the magnet. So you can see it really is magnetic.
You ready? Okay. Woohoo! And there she blows!
I think this sets the base for this morning talk. The idea is that one can approach every single element in the periodic table and see a video lecture. So educated. Oxygen अच्छा है कि नहीं? I'm there not to talk about oxygen recently. Oxygen अच्छा है ना? बिना ऑक्सीजन और बिना ग्लूकोज के हम जिंदा ही नहीं रह सकते. The theme of this talk, the Sutradhar, the connecting theme, is present in this one slide. यदि वो ऑक्सीजन ना हो, ऑक्सीजन रेडिकल एनियन हो, हाइड्रोक्सी रेडिकल हो, peroxide हो, hydrogen peroxide हो, तो अच्छा नहीं. These are referred to collectively under the title ROS. Somebody, young student, wants to de-abbreviate ROS for me? There you are. I am very happy. All of you know it. Radical oxygen species. They are extremely harmful to living systems. So the entire story, the two words that I put in my title at the top, revolve around this and of course other additional features. थोड़ा light, थोड़ा सा काम करें, थोड़ा सा stage पे. That's a normal eye. That's a cataractous eye on the right hand side. Is cataract a disease of old age? So it was believed in the past. About 2 years ago, I met Dr. Harsha Bhattacharya, who operates on patients from morning to the night. In Guwahati, Shankaradeva Netralaya in Guwahati. He told me what Ishwar. The other day I operated on a 1-year-old child, cataract in both the eyes. A middle-aged person, it's very common to hear, दोनों आंखों में ऑपरेशन करवा लिया है. It could be nuclear cataract, age-related, or it could be congenital cataract. There are different forms of cataract that we know. कितनी खुश होते हैं बच्चों को देखते हुए, मोबाइल चलाते हुए. हमारा छोटा सा बच्चा मोबाइल देखो कितना अच्छा जानता है. I'm only suggesting there could be features which contribute to an earlier onset of cataract. देखिए मैं तो मॉलिक्यूल बनाने वाला आदमी हूँ. हमारा पावर कहाँ सीमित है? हम हाथों से, अपने हाथों से आज भी मॉलिक्यूल्स, नए मॉलिक्यूल्स बना सकते हैं. और किसी ने कहा रिसेंटली, Nobel laureate 2014 Nobel lecture, I suggest. He says biology has to get out and beyond, it has to go beyond the cover slip. It cannot be cover slip biology. Biology has to be caught in the living cells when things are happening in its dynamic environment. How did I come to these topics is another question I was thinking I should put up. But time will not permit me, so I'll give you just passing reference to it. Transient interactions in living cells are so important. How do you catch these transient interactions? A talk which I cannot possibly include in this morning's talk, but there is a hint. 60% of blindness in the world, I'm told, is caused by cataract. Today the operation is so simple that there may be no need for my talk. Because just there, make a hole, pull out the damaged lens, put one new one, blow it, and then give a reading glass. Patient goes home in less than 2 hours. He's asked to take precautions for the next 2-3 weeks, putting some drops and so on. Not entirely true. Especially older age people, doctor says, "Abhi aapka motiyabind paka nahi." It has not ripened. 3 mahine baad वापस आए. During this period, with impaired vision, the person either trying to cross a road or somewhere in the bathroom slips, gets injured, in some cases even dies as a consequence. So it's not so easy. The major question is, क्या हम कैटरैक्ट को किसी तरह से डिले कर सकते हैं, रिवर्स कर सकते हैं? आप तो मेरा टीचर हैं, आप कैसे इस पर जरूरत करते हैं कि इसके ऊपर चर्चा करेंगे? जो मैं चर्चा करूंगा, almost everything that I'm saying is based on published recent work in highly respected journals, as you shortly realize. Dr. D. Balasubramanian, who is still at L.V. Prasad, Hyderabad, is about 80 years old, has done a lot of work on alpha-A crystalline. This protein in the human eye is water soluble. When we are taking bath, the eye lens does not get dissolved. Fortunate. So beautifully sealed. It's heat stable, somebody is cooking and the protein melts. नहीं होता है. And 100% transparent. What happens in the human islands? That it becomes a little cloudy, translucent, then eventually opaque. That's the purpose of my first part of my talk this morning. Right at the bottom, if you see a capital M, that's the primary structure of alpha-A crystalline. M, methionine at the first position, the primary structure, is very crucial. I'm not saying others are not important, but the fact of the matter is this 19 kD protein undergoes unwanted oxidation, formylation, dehydration, fragmentation, aggregation. These are the reasons for cataract formation, of which I have focused on one word, oxidation. It would be incorrect to say oxidation is solely responsible for this process. Other kind of processes which are listed in the slide also contribute. We do not want unwanted, undesirable aggregation of this crucial alpha-A crystalline, which also has a very important role as a chaperoning role in many of these processes, including in the human islets. Here is a comparison of the proteins in the islands of a 25-year-old human and a 41-year-old human. Can you see in the first portion up there, there are barely about 5 proteins that are pointed out. Whereas in the 41-year-old person, the number of proteins has hardly increased. What will happen at 52, 72 age is left to you for imagination. Are you with me, or have I lost you in the first part of my talk? नजर आ रहा है? समझ रहे हैं? तैयार हैं सवाल पूछने के लिए? अरे मेथाइल Yes, we can. थोड़ा ये कुर्सी दो हमारे एबल बॉडी दार आप यहाँ डालें ये कुर्सी हटा थोड़ा साइड पे रखिए. As they do that, help us we continue with our talk. So, electron spray ionization mass spectrometry gives us the clue that methionine in position 1 gets oxidized. And the most shocking news for that matter, a 2006 paper in biochemistry, look at the institute from where this paper is from. The name of the institute is Save Site Institute in Sydney, Australia. Save Site Institute, Sydney, Australia. It's a detailed full-length paper. In this popular talk, I can only refer to the fact that they have identified the presence of hydrogen peroxide in the human islets. Believe me, how many of you have done experiments with hydrogen peroxide in the laboratory? Such a highly corrosive chemical being produced in the human islet. Unbelievable, but very true. Towards the end, maybe I may mention, even stroke patients, hydrogen peroxide concentrations in the brain have been found to be extremely high. Where does hydrogen peroxide generate? How is it produced? Can we somehow counter its production? Then maybe many of the major diseases we may be having some degree of control. monoxide, I presume. The question is they use hydrogen peroxide for lymph nodes as well. That is maybe to kill the cells so that no further infection happens, leading to, say, septicemia or what have you. But we are talking about hydrogen peroxide produced inside living cells, not applied exogenously. So your point is very well taken, that possibly prevents spreading of the infection. And that's what you meant. I'm going to take you to the first part of my talk, the main crux of it. Here are two patients, human patients. Patient 1, first pedigree, you see the pedigree shortly. We can discuss it after the talk as well. Patient 4-1, patient 4-3. The question being asked is, can cataract be delayed or reversed? This is not fiction. This is not science fiction. This is fact. What I present to you now is fact, as you realize. That is the pedigree. I think all students present here understand it as well, if not better than me, right? Where is 4-1? That's the patient 4-1 here, 4-3. Here is the mutation, 588 G to S in the wild type, and not expressed. 3 children in this family are blind. How many? What happened? What is the reason? Somebody help me understand this. Faculty apart, yes? Say a little louder. No? A better answer? I think the answer is hidden there. Somebody ready for an answer? Yeah, बताओ यार ये मैरिज किनके बीच में हुई है? These are consanguineous marriages. And how many? 3 of the children, 3 of the offspring are blind. Preventable? Yes or no? It could have been prevented. And if you go to the DNA sequencing data, you see here in 588, CDGC has become ATC. 1 base mutation leads to, and yes, and 1 amino acid change from a normal person. 3 of the children are blind. How unfortunate. It is not for just doing a genetic analysis or finding out the mutation sites that this work is being presented before you. There is a wider reason. This particular region is common, highly conserved with humans, dogs, and rabbits. Have you understood me? Highly conserved region, dogs, rabbits, and human beings. I'm surprised. But this calls for the synthesis of a chemical which is a precursor to cholesterol. So this actually codes for lanosterol. This is lanosterol synthase. So it codes for synthesis of lanosterol in dogs, rabbits, and human beings. So the scientists in China tried lanosterol and put lanosterol in dogs, rabbits with cataract. Lo and behold, cataract got reversed in dogs and rabbits. Can this result be extended to human beings? Is the question that is asked. आपने कभी देखी है आंखें? कुत्ते की आंख में कैटरैक्ट. Rabbit's eye has a cataract. Application of lanosterol. This is published in Nature 2015. Young people in the audience would realize to publish a result in Nature how difficult it is. So listen to it, hear it with care, go back to the paper, read it in full detail. Suffice it to say in my first part of my talk that cataract in dogs, repair. Score 2, score 1 means cataract, score 0 means no cataract. Score 2 meant cataract, score 0 meant no cataract. This has been done with success in dogs and rabbits. Can we extend this to human beings? About 2 years ago, I went for an open day in the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Whole hall was overflowing with kids, mostly in the age bracket 5 to 7. All were patients with retinoblastoma. Parents were with them. The director of AIIMS, the then director, said, I myself did not know when such a condition came in my own son's case. Director AIIMS. So ignorant. I am not going to speak to you on retinoblastoma. I am only going to mention the fact that it is completely curable if detected early, and usually happens in the age bracket 5 to 7. And young children can take anti-cancer drugs much better than older people, with much less side effects. So it's completely curable. Retinoblastoma in America is coming down dramatically. It's increasing rapidly in the Indian population. Why? One simple way to detect, we were told in that open day, is take a camera with a flash, take it close to the eye of a child and click. If you see, this is not that red that you see in your digital camera. If you see a white here, take the child immediately to the nearest specialist. Yes, थोड़ा सा serious हो गया कहानी. Shankar Nethralaya in Chennai, with whom I have close connections. Dr. Badrinath, the founder. I'm not talking about him today. I'm talking very briefly about one of his own students. Here is this lady, Dr. Sita Lakshmi. She learned a technique from this Italian doctor to do an operation. That surgery is called modified ortho-kerato surgery. I hope you are with me or I have lost you. Modified ortho-kerato surgery. You know what they do? They get hold of a tooth from the patient and plant it on the right of the eye or the left of the eye for 3 months. So the patient walks around buying sabzi and so on, daily church, and has a tooth here implanted outside or on the shoulder. 3 months baad they pluck up the tooth, plant it in the middle of the eye, and then the cornea go away. There is a separate department in Shankar Nethralaya doing this. Modified ortho-odonto skin surgery. On the day she was to receive an award for this work, brilliant work, she dressed up beautifully at 8 o'clock in the morning. Just then she had a massive heart attack. Died right there. अच्छा काम कर रही हैं, इतना बढ़िया काम कर रही हैं. She is going to receive an award. She is very excited, very happy. Drops dead instantly in her house. She did something very good. She didn't know she is going to die. She taught this technique to every single student of hers. She is dead, but the surgery is alive and kicking in Shankar Nethralaya. So इतनी दुखद बात नहीं है कि सीता लक्ष्मी died suddenly, unexpectedly. But as a teacher, she did a brilliant job by communicating, by training her students totally how to carry out the surgery successfully. I think since we have been on a serious note, allow me to bring in some mild humor. In Chennai, I went to one of my relation's house. The young daughter had just come and from school, she said, Mommy, ये कौन है? ये बूढ़े आदमी कौन है? इनको मैं दादू बुलाऊं, इनको मैं अंकल बुलाऊं, मैं इनको सर बुलाऊं? तो मम्मी ने कहा, ये डॉक्टर ईश्वरन है, PhD। बच्ची थोड़ी सी सहमा गई, डॉक्टर। कहती मम्मी ये डॉक्टर क्या होता है? पिज्जा होम डिलीवरी? Because she only knows pizza. She doesn't know cataract or medicine. She doesn't know anything much about doctor or philosophy. She doesn't even understand the word philosophy. She said, and of course she was then doing many things to impress me. आप सब कितने काबिल हो? India भरा हुआ है, steaming with young people. This is not to flatter you, but to tell you the truth. And I hope Piyush is ready with his second video, only a clipping. All these videos are long videos on which we will take out only small portions to show you. How many people have heard the name Manjul Bhargava? Raise your hands. किसी ने नहीं सुना यार, हद हो गई, सुनिए देखिए ना, चलाओ भाई। India questions.
From me and from students from all around India who are studying at the finest colleges here in Delhi. Now we're all here together to do just one thing, to listen and learn from this bewildering genius, Manjul Bhargava. So Manjul is one of the greatest minds India has ever created. He has been awarded a prize which I consider even greater than the Nobel Prize. Professor Bhargava has recently won the Fields Medal in Mathematics. Why do I say it's possibly even greater than the Nobel Prize? Because this highest global award in mathematics is given only once in every 4 years. I want a round of applause for this. And actually, you'll notice as the evening goes on that his modesty and simplicity is really truly Indian. Why do I call him a bewildering genius? Because of what he did to actually win that mathematics award. It's simple really. He won it for, and I quote, developing powerful new methods in geometry of numbers which he applied to count rings of small rank and to bound the average rank of elliptical curves. Simple as that, right? You got it? Simple stuff, yeah. So what has he done? He has counted rings of small rank and bound the average rank of elliptical curves. I don't think I've even asked you to explain that in English. But in English, yeah, just basically, what does it mean for an average viewer?
Well, the subject that I work in is the area of number theory.
Number theory.
And so number theory basically is the art of understanding the whole numbers, the numbers we use to count, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 0, and -1, -2. So those are the whole numbers. And number theory is about the science, the art of understanding those numbers, understanding special sequences of those numbers, like the square numbers, the prime numbers, and then finally it's about solving equations whose solutions are whole numbers.
So it's like the relationships between numbers.
That's right.
Basically,
Yeah.
number theory.
Exactly.
Simple. All of you can do that. So, based on that, I just want to get an idea of you in Princeton, sitting in a room with a whole lot of other mathematicians. What do you talk about? Would any of us understand anything?
Well, I mean, a lot of the mathematics that goes on at Princeton is with the students.
Right.
So, just students like all of you. And so, I think the audience here, since they're mostly mathematics students here, would understand.
They would understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because I've listened to some of your speeches to mathematicians, and I did study maths to a certain level, but it just, within 10 seconds, I'm out of it. Like,
That one. I want to tell you that this not very old looking professor from Princeton University who studied in Jaipur has done so well, is equally at home in Indian philosophy, he's at home in Sanskrit, he's an accomplished tabla player, and he taught us in this very long interview, from which only a small portion has been taken for you. He taught us that Fibonacci numbers are really Hemachandra numbers. I'm not trying to bring something here suddenly for your sake that India is great and we are great, but you are great. All the young people are great in this audience. I think we should give them a big hand. And what do we want you to do? We want you to get interested in doing more science, stay in India, work the hard way. Will you repeat the Fibonacci numbers, Hemachandra numbers with me? Are you ready? How to play tabla? How many possibilities are there with Laghu and Dirgh? One and double the time for the beat. How many permutations and combinations are possible if you are going to do an 8-number beat? He says, start with me. 0, 1, 2, 3, don't say 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34. 34 possibilities. Long, 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 short, 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 long, 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 short, short, long. 34 possibilities the tabla player has, and he can pick one of these to enchant you in a tabla performance. Remarkable young man, epitomizing the kind of young Indians who are going abroad in huge numbers. My plea to you is, continue to stay in science, struggle your hard way. I am in my 50th year of science in India. That photostat man in Delhi University, near Patel Chess Institute, said to me, डॉक्टर साहब आपको 40 साल पहले भी देखा था, आज भी आप उतने ही इंटरेस्टेड हैं जितने तब इंटरेस्टेड थे। मैं कहा गलत कह रहे हैं, थैंक यू, पर गलत कह रहे हैं, 10,000 टाइम्स ज़्यादा इंटरेस्टेड। Now quickly, the second part, I should not take as much time as the first part. I'm introducing a new word to you, Theranostics. Theranostics stands for therapy plus diagnostics. Craig Venter, who synthesized the human genome, said giving the same drug to the entire population has no meaning. We are on the verge of entering the era of personalized medicine. A very simple example from a 2016 paper. Hydrogen peroxide, I think it becomes a common theme through this talk. Hydrogen peroxide has been produced in the cell in an unwanted manner, undesirable manner. It is damaging, it's bringing vascular injury. So they synthesized a thiazole derivative and put here, this hydrogen peroxide came and bound here. At this position they have attached the well-known aspirin. Have you understood? Hydrogen peroxide is produced in the cell, doing vascular injury to the cell. To this moiety, they attached aspirin. It can be any other drug for that matter. Hydrogen peroxide transiently binds to this nitrogen, converts this into a hydroxy here, leaves this bond, releases aspirin. In the process, the molecule becomes fluorescent. You can image because it's become fluorescent, and the aspirin repairs the vascular damage. 2 in 1. Therapy plus diagnostics. This is theranostics. Journal का नाम क्या नाम है? कहाँ ये publish हुआ है? Theranostics. The name of the journal is Theranostics. I repeat for you. Here is a compound which is colorless, bound to aspirin. It can be any other drug for that matter. The hydrogen peroxide produced attaches here, brings about a cleavage of this bond here, so that there is a hydroxy and aspirin, acetyl salicylic acid being generated inside the living cell. The molecule becomes fluorescent, so you can image it. The aspirin bringing about the reversal of that particular injury to the cell. Have you understood the word theranostics? For how many people was this word new? Raise your hands. Oh, substantial number. So I think I have had one success this morning by at least introducing one new word in English. Whenever I come to THSTI, to RCB, and I'm being driven by a taxi driver, when they reach, suddenly they see set of buildings. ये क्या जगह है? ये क्या है? कॉलेज है, स्कूल है. मैं कहीं अनुसंधान करते हैं. अनुसंधान माने क्या करते हैं? रिसर्च करते हैं. आप क्या करते हैं? And he simultaneously looks at my grey hair and asks me, आप क्या करते हैं? मैं कहता हूँ, मैं यहाँ नई दवाइयाँ बनाने की कोशिश करता हूँ. खुदा आपको मदद करे. सारी दुनिया के लिए आप सेवा कर रहे हैं. जरूर आपको सक्सेस प्राप्त हो. ऐसे ऐसे एडवाइस मेरे को टैक्सी ड्राइवर पूछते हैं. अच्छा, मोतियाबिंद में अनुसंधान कर रहे हैं. पर उनको मैंने थेरानोस्टिक्स नहीं बताया. इसमें ज्यादा विषय पे चर्चा नहीं करना चाहता हूँ. 2 Nobel Prizes have been given to nanocarbon materials. First one is Buckminster Fuller. The second Nobel Prize is for graphene. In between this fellow, Mr. Nobel Prize. I don't know, maybe this year's Nobel Prize, maybe for carbon nanotubes. 2 worries are there. One is the cost. चलो पैसा तो छोड़ दी. 1 ग्राम फुलरीन का आजकल अंदाजा 50,000 रुपये. ग्राफीन बाजार में इतना आसान से नहीं है. Carbon nanotubes are also costly, especially if you're looking for single wall carbon nanotubes. But the biggest problem is they are almost totally insoluble. What do you do with nanocarbon materials which are totally insoluble? And I'm bringing to you, those who meet me over coffee or tea or later in the day, or by email, you can read a series of papers on these materials in the last 1 or 2 years, written from very important centers of science in the world. What is the message? Brief message is, can we make these nanocarbon materials soluble? Water soluble, at the same time that they are not toxic, and that they will be purged from the human system after use. This is yet another use of theranostics, a paper published just last year, I presume. Here is one such material, nanocarbon material, on which a laser beam has been shown or thrown. It shines. It shines. And here is a tumor in the rat. A laser beam is being pointed, and you have actually put one such nanocarbon material into the tumor. And as you show the laser, it not only glows, you can see the tumor, thump, there is a pop sound, and the tumor cell breaks. Have you understood? You have injected a water-soluble carbon nanomaterial, and you have put it in a tumor. The tumor with a particular laser becomes visible, fluorescent, or shines, and at the same time, with the same laser, or another laser with different power, you actually kill the tumor cell, and while it dies, it makes a pop sound. You can actually hear the sound. And like in echocardiogram, you can make this sound louder. This is called, are you with me? Acoustics imaging. Acoustics imaging. How nice it would be if one of us were to make such a setup and show that it actually works. Such materials, at least in Ukraine, the government has allowed. For keeping Alzheimer's away, they have allowed that a water bottle, like a Bisleri bottle, containing a small amount of such a material, can be sipped or drunk. It's not yet approved in the United States, but many people in the United States are consuming it on their own. Keeps Alzheimer's away. Such things have been shown to work against tumor, cancer, or for that matter, Parkinson's. A suggestion that's on the internet is one such solution you can spray in your nasal spray, and Parkinson's is out. This is not science fiction. These are published papers in the last few years. Arthritis in rats retreats. Reports that it is useful in combating HIV/AIDS. If you go and look for these things on the internet, you can see many papers, or ask me, I will send you the soft copies. One such material is the subject of a patent granted in 2016 in the United States. So you can understand the relevance. The full patent is with me. Anybody asks, I will forward that to you. But the commercial success, theranostics, is a combination of Herceptin, an monoclonal antibody, with Herceptin test. The combination, in fact, is yet another example of theranostics, where you test whether a person is suffering from breast cancer or not, and simultaneously use the strategy of using Herceptin to cure breast cancer. This is the best known commercialized example of theranostics. That means the drug and the diagnostic kit came out about the same time. But you can understand the relevance of this from the Indian context in the next slide. September 1, 2017, FDA, though in a previous meeting about 15-20 days earlier, the FDA Council in USA voted 16-0 in favor of the Biocon Mylan preparation of Herceptin to be allowed in the United States market. But just recently, the FDA has put some bottlenecks. They come to inspect the places, good lab practices, and how the manufacturing is done is very strictly controlled. So there has been a spanner in the success of Biocon. Kiran Sharma is reported to have said that it's only a matter of time, maybe by the Christmas, forthcoming Christmas, or for that matter, the New Year, the Biocon Mylan preparation of a biosimilar of Herceptin will be in the international market very soon. Thus, we are coming to the end of my short presentation to you. I kept it at a popular level by not bringing in more science, more chemistry than necessary. All these materials, like the one that I mentioned to you, especially the nanocarbon materials, are all radical oxygen scavengers. They take away the radical oxygen species that are generated, which possibly bring about most of the diseases that we mentioned in this short presentation. I will not show you this video, but I will just mention it. Go to the YouTube, type Professor Vijay Kumar. Professor Vijay Kumar. He is not even 50 years old. He is at the University of Pennsylvania. He makes robots the size of a palm. And the algorithms are written in such a manner, there is a small door or a window, the size of the robot is larger than the aperture of the window, it just turns around vertically and goes through. Remarkable. But more importantly than that, he also shows how these robots can be intelligently used for many scientific purposes, including the one that we have been discussing this morning. If it is not robots, but if it is nano robots, how wonderful it will be. Where did he get his inspiration from? दिखा सकते हैं Piyush? थोड़ा सा दिखाइए Piyush. I think he's in the meantime busy. He got his inspiration from seeing desert ants. Have you seen desert ants? Bada ants take a piece of patthar on which there is some sugar or fig juice. They are pulling it to their, all of them together to their nest. Believe me, they are not selfish. They are not selfish. They carry this
doing that. So it knows how to combine little bits and pieces of trajectories to do these fairly difficult tasks. So I want to change gears. So one of the disadvantages of these small robots is its size. And I told you earlier that we may want to employ lots and lots of robots to overcome the limitations of size. So one difficulty is how do you coordinate lots of these robots? And so here we look to nature. So I want to show you a clip of Phaenogaster desert ants in Professor Stephen Pratt's lab carry an object. So this is actually a piece of fig. Actually, you take any object coated with fig juice and the ants will carry them back to the nest. So these ants don't have any central coordinator. They sense their neighbors. There's no explicit communication, but because they sense the neighbors and because they sense the object, they have implicit coordination across the group. So this is the kind of coordination we want our robots to have. So when we have a robot which is surrounded by neighbors, and let's look at robot I and robot J, what we want the robots to do is to monitor the separation between them as they fly in formation. And then you want to make sure that this separation is within acceptable levels. So again, the robots monitor this error and calculate the control commands 100 times a second, which then translates to motor commands 600 times a second. So this also has to be done in a decentralized way. Again, if you have lots and lots of robots, it's impossible to coordinate all this information centrally fast enough in order for the robots to accomplish the task. Plus, the robots have to base their actions only on local information, what they sense from their neighbors. And then finally, we insist that the robots be agnostic to who their neighbors are. So this is what we call anonymity. So what I want to show you next is a video of 20 of these little robots flying in formation. They're monitoring their neighbor's position, they're maintaining formation. The formations can change, they can be planar formations, they can be three-dimensional formations. As you can see here, they collapse from a three-dimensional formation into a planar formation, and to fly through obstacles, they can adapt the formations on the fly. So again, these robots come really close together, as you can see in this figure 8 flight. They come within inches of each other. And despite the aerodynamic interactions with these propeller blades, they're able to maintain stable flight.
I wish to conclude the following note. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Implicit understanding. Almost no leader. None of them have climbed on top of the patthar to drink that fig juice. They're taking it to their nest. nature, Professor Vijay Kumar makes robots, the kind that we saw just now. Can we have nano robots working for us, taking delivery of motors like the ones that we have in our cellular system? How do we see them? Please, as I said in the beginning, go and hear the 3 Nobel lectures, 2014. One of them, he went home and his son, young sensei, said, Daddy, I hear you got the Nobel Prize. Yes, son, I got the Nobel Prize. I got a Nobel Prize in chemistry, a subject I just don't know. And what a wonderful lecture it is. I've heard in the last few days. I wanted to show you partly. There will be other occasions when we can share it together. One message. He says, cover slips in biology. No. Get down to the living cell. See the dynamics of it. Am I allowed to dream at this age? All of us are allowed to dream. I dream that in RCB, in THSTI, I can see a certain new molecule going into the living cell and binding to the DNA, and I see a single molecule. I don't see an ensemble of molecules. 6.023 to 10 raised to power 23 Avogadro number. अरे एक सेल के अंदर, एक बैक्टीरिया के अंदर क्या 6.023 to 10 raised to power 23 मॉलिक्यूल्स को डालेंगे? आर्मी का इन्वेशन है क्या? नहीं, एक सिंगल मॉलिक्यूल को क्या आप देख सकते हैं by super resolution microscopy. That is Nobel Prize 2014. And I dare to dream, hey, can I see a single molecule actually entering, flipping around from the membrane, or entangling itself around the DNA, a certain protein? It will be a dream come true. Don't close it yet. Don't close it yet. You have to come and help me with my last slide. Piyush, last is to this bit anyway. Incidentally, I didn't want to show you this. That's on the screen. You can do it with many forms of RNA, DNA, go with RNA. You can see these processes, if possible, so better. Yeah. What is it that Albert Kalamji has taught us? सपना वह नहीं जो आप नींद में देखते हैं, कहते हैं कि ऐसी चीज है जो आपको नींद नहीं आने देती. Dreams is not what you see in sleep. It's a thing which you doesn't let you sleep. That's what Dr. Abdul Kalam taught us. I had the good fortune of actually seeing him on one occasion. Thank you. That's not a rare fortune.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us. I would